right on the set in 3, 2, 1, going live.
All right, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of HB Unplugged. You know, this is getting kind of exciting, so let's give a big hand to David Nuuhiwa.
Thank you.
David's in the house.
David's in the house, my
Yeah.
friend. Yeah, we got this exciting guest here, and you know, it's really fun, Don, because it's almost like this has been for the first 14 episodes, 12 episodes, what it is. Like a surfing podcast. You know,
Yeah,
we got
I know
got
a
all
lot
the
of
hot
surfers.
surfers. Yeah,
I thought it was football. Why'd you bring me here?
yeah. He used to play for the NFL. Not.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, we got a great guest, Dave. Don, thanks for joining us. Welcome aboard. And yeah, this is HB Unplugged. You know what Don and I decided to do with this show is kind of just make yet another hub, another opportunity for people to learn about HB, what HB has to offer, the people in it. You know, and all that kind of stuff.
The people that have made
they're
history
too
in our
young.
town.
Yeah, what?
Everybody out there is probably too young.
Yeah. No.
No. David Nuuhiwa, believe me.
I don't go after the moms. I go after grandma now.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Anyway, so nice to be here, people.
Yeah. And we're glad to have you. I mean, this is exciting. Like I said, it's like for the first, you know, we are for the first launch of the HB Unplugged podcast show. What we really did want to do is capitalize on the fact that Huntington Beach is Surf City, USA.
It really
Yeah,
is.
and so that's why we did it the way we've done it, and that's why Don has kind of lined up the guests accordingly to bring everybody on board and really highlight the fact that Huntington Beach is the surfing community of the world, but there's other things happening in Huntington Beach that we're going to be getting into too. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Anyway, I got here a long time ago. I think I was like 17 years old when I came to Huntington.
wow, yeah, because I was going to say you're born in Hawaii, 1948.
Born in Hawaii, came up here.
How long were you in Hawaii?
Oh, God, till I was like 12.
Okay, so yeah,
And
so
then I
you.
came here, and my idol in surfing was Donald Takayama.
Yeah, I know that he shaped your boards for
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
you know, I knew him, and then he went away, and a couple years later, my dad got work with Walt Disney at Disneyland, so he was doing that. My dad was doing that. I was hanging out in Hermosa Beach. At that time, Robert August and Mike Henson just got back from filming The Endless Summer.
Yeah, and rest in peace, Mike. Yeah, it just happened.
I'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, so when you moved here from Hawaii, you moved to Hermosa, not Huntington Beach.
Yeah,
So you were in South Bay.
Yeah, I was in South Bay because Donald was there. My dad
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
that, Donald and I hooked
Well,
up.
shit,
in
that was
Hawaii.
Dewey Weber, Hal Jacob. I mean, that was
Bing.
that was Bing,
God.
Bing
No,
Copeland.
no,
Yeah.
The South Bay had a load
Oh, it was
of
unreal.
good surfers. They
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
And I was young, and Donald was shaping for Jacobs. And Robert August just got off the road for making the movie The Endless Summer.
Right.
And so Donald was, everybody thought that I was Donald's little brother.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
we had long hair,
Yeah.
and all the kids.
Dark hair.
Yeah, they made me out to be Donald's little brother. And
I could see that. I could see that confusion.
And we were both goofy foots.
But we were all stoned all the time, so of course you could easily forget.
God, I didn't go to Mexico yet. You must have been ahead of me.
Yeah. Yeah, great. You know, and kind of cover for those that don't know your surfing lifestyle. I got to tell you this: in my shop in San Diego, my dad's barn was a surfboard shop. We made our own boards sometimes, and we had detailed cars. We had the horses and stuff. But on the wall was a photo of you, and nose riding. We had a poster of you on the wall of the shop nose riding. You know, like it was you were one of our heroes. Yeah, my
Oh,
brother
thank
Tommy
you.
and I.
Thank you.
We always thought of you as like, yeah.
So we're sitting in there, and we're me and my buddy are eating lunch, and in walks Brad McCall, David Nuuhiwa,
Hey, you told me this story.
Corky
yeah.
Carroll, and Mike from South Bay.
Mike Purpose.
Mike
Mike Purvis. Oh,
and
yeah.
the four of them are sitting right next to me and my buddy, and me and my buddy sit down. Oh
You're
my
like-
God, we're going.
I used to be like him way before that when I was in the South Bay.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
Because
I mean, now that he knows me, he calls me, dude. I go, dude, David Nuuhiwa.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
Anyway, here I am in the South Bay. I'm living with Donald. Everybody thinks I'm Donald's little brother.
Because especially since you're living with him, yeah.
Goofy foot. And when I grew up in Hawaii and Donald, we rode every size surfboards, because we're at the beach all the time in Waikiki. So anything I could get my hands on, I rode, even down to George Downing, which is the biggest wave surfer in the world. His son and I used to hang out together. And so George had this little egg-shaped board, pintail, made out of balsa for him, and we'd take turns in Waikiki on it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we had access to all the rental boards where all the kooks were flying down on the waves like this,
The kooks.
Oh yeah. Well, the people from Midwest, they come to Waikiki and they get in the water out there.
Back then, it was only the rich people that came over there because it was in the middle of the Pacific.
We had our kooks here as well, yeah.
Anyway, I got stuck in Hermosa with Donald when I used to, Dewey Weber lived right across from me and Donald.
Unreal.
And so
Unreal.
and I knew Dewey through Donald. When Donald kept telling Dewey, hey, take him to Malibu, And I'd go up there and pull up in Malibu and see the best surfers in the world that were riding Malibu, like Dora.
Mickey Dora, yeah.
Everybody was there.
Yeah.
It was like you could make a surf movie. And I was just a little kid watching all that stuff, And I didn't really have a surfboard, I wasn't hooked up yet.
Wow.
Until Drew Harrison and I hooked up with a guy named Larry Falker.
Larry Falker.
He made us our first, free surfboard. We were going, wow, man, we got a board for free. I mean, the boards were only like $75.
I know, I remember that. It was like
boards were so cheap.
$1,000 for a board today. It was like $150 custom made, like back in our day.
So I kind of ran around with Drew Harrison right down there on 14th Street and surfed, but the waves there are the worst. You had to be in the water at 6 in the morning, and
You're talking South Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it blows out.
Yeah.
By about 9 o'clock, it's done.
Yeah.
Is that El Porto?
Well, El Porto was actually good. El Porto was really the only good surfing spot.
We didn't go there yet.
Yeah.
We were in the South Bay on 14th Street, right next to the pier, and I paddle out, 5 strokes, and you're out in the lineup up on the beach. You had like 4 seconds to get your job done and then kick out.
Yeah.
So we got into that routine of fast surfing,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you only had 4 seconds before you were on the beach,
Yeah.
So
Shore breakaways.
Yeah. So we hung out there, and a year later, and Donald was, he broke off of Jacob surfboards. He stopped shaping for it because Bing went over and said, I'll give you a good deal. And so Donald told Bing, he goes, hey, we ought to plug David in because David's been winning all the local contests. And so that's where the David Nuuhiwa surfboard came from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Bing told Donald, and Donald told Bing, let's stage David. I mean, he's perfect,
You showed me one of those boards at Rock and Fig shop one day. There was they had a bunch of boards out, historic stuff. And you walked me out of the shop and go, this board goes back to South Bay days. And it was all yellowed and stuff, but it was like pretty cool that, you had that.
Well, back then, Bing made me like, God, I had 5 or 6 boards.
Yeah.
They all looked the same, but they all had different personalities.
Right.
It was weird. You could take any board and copy it, but maybe the glass job was a little heavy or something. And the boards would change, but they all looked the same.
Yeah.
So it was almost like playing golf now. You had a bag full of boards,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
You can go catch waves, yeah.
So wait, now, so you used to have a surf shop right there next to the, where the, what was it called? The Serene Scene. Remember the Serene Scene right next to Surf
came
Crest?
later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was all later, but this is still 1970.
Yeah.
And
And you really, I think,
He was right next door to the serene scene.
but you really enjoyed the fish the most.
Well, that came.
That was sort of. Oh, it did. Okay, because I know you.
I'll take you into that.
All right, good.
stage.
Yeah, keep going, man. Rock. This is
So
fun.
anyway,
We're learning. Hey, shit. We'll sit back, have a cup of coffee, and listen.
I get out of the South Bay, because Donald goes, "Hey, I'm going to San Diego, and I'm gonna stay on the longboards." And I said, "Well, I'm going to Huntington Beach. You can ride waves more than 4 seconds." I got sick of the South Bay because cloudy, overcast every day, and the wind blows out.
Yeah.
And so I got to Huntington Beach, and that was a different place.
What year?
God, probably 60s.
1960s. Yeah.
1960s, I don't know, somewhere back
It
there.
was the mid 1960s that I can find out.
So I get to Huntington Beach, and I looked around. It wasn't Malibu guys no more. These are all local, like, gunslingers.
Yeah.
And I'm
Was it
coming-
territorial?
Yeah,
It was.
really was.
I don't remember
Because I teamed up with Sonny Barterman had a shop there, and Gordy. And then Chuck Dent had a shop under the pier.
Yeah.
And so I kind of hung out with Jackie Baxter and all these other good surfers at Barterman's. And we didn't have any wetsuits. This is the killer part.
I know.
We'd get up in
Yeah, but the
morning.
water was warmer in the summer.
No.
It wasn't?
I'm talking dead winter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're out there and we're all got jackets and pants on and tennis shoes.
And you got to friggin' strip and paddle out in a pair of board shorts.
First
Like,
thing-
oh, my
first
God.
thing we
And
used
no
to do-
surf leashes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Hey,
That's right, no
this
leash.
is hardcore. We would get
This is cool. This is cool.
a towel and run down with our shorts and the board. And now the boards are like 30 pounds, 35 pounds, 9'6",
Yeah.
We'd run down to the beach, paddle out. Everybody knee paddled because nobody wanted to lay down to get wet, So it was knee paddling was a big deal. So we'd knee paddle out. We'd be in the water. As long as you didn't get your body wet, you could play.
Yeah.
You could ride as many ways as you want, but don't fall. You didn't have a leash. And if you did fall, you had to swim in that ice cold water to the beach. And by that
Unreal.
time, you were like shaking.
Oh, you're
It's
turning
like,
blue.
Yeah, it's like fucking 61 degrees. So we, if you lost your board and stuff, you would grab your towel and just run up the beach, put it down in a parking lot, jump in somebody's car and turn the heater on.
Crank it up.
Get warm, Yeah, I mean, it was crazy back
what a
then.
trip.
Crazy. And they were good surfers. From these guys like from Harbor Surfboards and down the beach, Joe Quigg. He had the whole Newport wrapped up, and Huntington was pretty much Gordy, Chuck Dent, and who was it? Greek was more of a leash type store
Yeah.
back then.
Is Greek still alive?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
He's got to be in his
That's a
80s
surf-
now, right?
He's 9 years older than me, so he's 82.
Wow.
Anyway, it was like, and everything was down on the front of Huntington Beach where Jack's. I used to have a room right above Jack's. The reason I did that because in the mornings I would get up and look at the surf from there and wouldn't have to get dressed and run down. I could just jump in my shorts, grab a towel, and run down the stairs and out to the beach, and then come back.
What a cool place.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Such a little.
Anyway,
Yeah. Very good.
So, Gordy was a friend of mine as well.
he didn't like too many people.
Yeah, Gordy was actually he liked Don Ramsey. Let me tell you, I hung out with Gordy. It was Robert Coogan that introduced me to Gordy.
Right, I remember Robert.
Yeah, Robert.
He was a good surfer.
Robert was a great surfer. Unfortunately, he passed away
Oh,
in a car accident.
back then there were tons of them. Mike Doyle, you name them, they were all coming to Huntington Beach.
Yeah, that's it.
Why?
I mean,
Because of the U.S. Open.
yeah. Well, on top of it, I mean,
Western Surf
the international surfing championships were always here, and there was a bunch of them. It was WSA. I mean, there were so many.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
OP
wa-
Pro.
yeah, the OP,
and all
yeah,
that,
there wasn't just one, and it was the Mecca. I mean, that's it was Surf City from the start.
Started in 1959 was the first one.
Yeah,
if you were any surfer, back then we used to call good guys outlaws, because they all had their territory, like Hermosa, Malibu,
Yeah,
San
everybody,
Diego,
yeah.
all over the place. Well, I left Bing back then, because Bing couldn't control me now because I left the South Bay and Donald went south, so I hung out in Huntington. Eventually, Bing kind of faded out with me, so I left that. And then I was just riding all these different boards. And so one day Mike Henson was at the U.S. Open. Him and his wife, they pulled up, and I kind of looked at the boards he had on the car, and I was going, wow, man, these things are nicer than anything I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hooked up with him after Bing, and then, I traveled before I hooked up with Mike all over the U.S. making movies and doing that. I couldn't have a girlfriend because, once I got married.
Did any of us have a girlfriend at that age? And
if I got married, I'd be done. That's the end of the ride.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of girlfriends, and Henson was pretty much my guy, my go-to guy after that as far as making my surfboards.
Wow.
He was so far ahead of all the designs, and I just went, I'm going with Mike.
Well, cool.
So he made me a lot of surfboards, even when the boards started dropping, down. And this is the funny part about what happened back
I mean,
then.
dropping like down size-wise?
Yeah. All the Aussies were going, oh, yeah, your board's too big.
Yeah. Wayne Lynch and
we got to come
they
down.
came to Huntington Beach in '69 and brought short boards, and it was
Game over.
it was game over.
Well, the scary part about that was I knew I could ride those little boards because I did it in Hawaii when I was a kid.
Right,
I
yeah.
rode all of these things. And so I was watching it drop on the sizes of the board, and it got down so small that it was fine with me, but the poor old guys that used to ride longboards, they all couldn't ride these little tiny boards.
And why? I mean, what? They were
Dale
getting cut
Dobson.
off? They were getting pushed out of the waves?
No,
Or?
they just couldn't ride the boards because, back then everything was a fad. The boards, the cars.
But the longboards never left. They just got pushed aside.
Yeah.
Because
Here's the funny part. Now I'm hooked in with Henson, and we've gotten the boards. This is how the boards nowadays came around. Henson made me these surfboards. I told him, yeah, make me about 5 of them, And I was on the road, I think, all over. Somewhere.
now was Mike sponsoring you, like giving you the boards for free?
He was just billing my surfboards.
Okay, you were buying them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got down to introducing. Bill Bain came out with the Bain fin box, right?
Yeah.
First fin box company on the West Coast. He's tied in with Henson, and Henson made these boards, and he dropped the rails. What I mean by drop, when I was surfing with Bing, the rails were like 60-40,
Yeah.
with a little edge on them.
Barely edge.
Henson turned them down and made
down
everything flat.
A hard edge. Yeah.
And so,
Like 14 inches, 16
Yeah.
inches up the tail.
so I'm on the road, and I'm supposed to meet Henson and Bain and them up at Steamers Lane in Santa Cruz. So I'm flying in, stop, pick up a good friend of mine named Chuck Ray, and then we jump in this rent-a-car, drive all the way up to Santa Cruz, and I gave Chuck Ray $20. I go, here. He goes, what's that for? I said, I'm going to go check into the room. Here's $20. Get us a 6-pack or a case. I don't care. We've been in the car for like 8 hours, Let's
driving up.
have a beer and crash out right there on the cliffs looking down on the ocean.
Yeah.
So Chuck goes away. I got back from Peru. So I had a big fur coat, a llama fur coat.
From Peru.
And I had all these, back then it was all hippies up there, in Santa Cruz. It was kind of cool. So when Chuck came back to the room,
Now, is this the 60s or the 70s?
70s.
70s,
early
okay.
70s.
Okay.
Chuck opens the door, walks in the room. He looks around and goes, "Holy shit! This ain't the same room I checked into with you." I go, "No, I just made it look like home." I had llama bedspreads, tapestries on the ceiling,
Unreal.
incense burning. Not only that, no, we're fixed,
Yeah.
But then the next day we had to go to the contest, and I pulled up, and Chucky and I go, "Where's Mike?" "Oh, there's Mike. He's next to that big van." Walk over to the van, and Henson goes, "Look what I brought you." Open the back of the van up, and there were like 8 surfboards in there, and they were all down rails. But they were small, bigger, until it got into the gun stage. So that was all fun and dandy. And then I get a phone call about a year later after I got screwed out of that contest, because the contest was the world title.
Down in San Diego?
Yeah, and it was Michael Ho and all these big
PT
guns.
was in that
Yeah,
contest.
yeah.
Lopez, everybody. And so the main event came on. I pulled up, and nobody would tell me, "Hey, man, we cut your board down from the pier." And I noticed that one of my boards were off the car. And somebody ripped it off because they thought, "Oh, we made the fish down in San Diego. We'll fix you," So nobody would tell me on my team, They go, "Don't say anything, Dave. What happened to his board?" But I had 2 other ones on the car.
Oh, so you're good.
Yeah, I cover my trail.
Yeah.
So I pulled one of them off, which was the green one you saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rode it in the contest, but I was at the bar eating and stuff. Who was in the bar? The Hells Angels.
Whoa, what a
And
trip.
me and my gal were in there eating, and one of them surfed. And he started talking to me and telling all the Hells Angels who I was and all that.
Oh, bitchin'.
So they announced
Good
my-
to have friends in high places.
Yeah. So I run out of there because they go, "Dave, you got about 15 minutes. You got to get ready to go." And I run over to the Jaguar, and I'm changing, and I finally go out in the water, and the guy that won the contest was somebody I grew up with in Hawaii named Jim Blair's. He was on a fish too. I
Wow.
didn't pick up on this. And the rest of the guys were all on single fins, couldn't go over the waves and get down the beach, But Jimmy and I were doing it, We were going way down the beach, just hitting the lips, and came out of the water after the thing was over, and everybody ran to me and put me on their shoulders like, "You won it." And they announced that I got second. Jimmy won it.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of a hard one, especially with my gal. She was in the car. She was going, "You didn't lose. Everybody on the beach thought you won this thing." And I said, "Oh, well, take the trophy and let's go home."
Yeah, that's how you do it.
So that was on a fish. But now, about a year later, I get a phone call, and it's Donald Takayama that used to make my nose riders.
Yeah.
He's going, "Dave, we're going to fire up longboard surf contests. Can you come by the house? I'll get you a hotel room for about 5 days. I've got stuff that you need to look at." So I go down there, stay with Donald for about 5 days. He's got all these surfboards. He goes, "Can you help me do this? Let's get the old guys off the couch and put them back in the water."
Wow.
So we played
So
that.
back on longboards.
Yeah, so I jump off the fish. I go, "Donald, I'll do it. I'll help you. We'll get this thing going." And that's where now you see the longboard and the short. There's no, "Oh yeah," no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I helped him do that, and gave up right in the fish. I had to go back on longboards so we could get the older guys back in the water.
So when did he start shaping your boards?
Who?
DT?
Donald?
Yeah.
Oh, when he was with Bing.
He was okay. So he was the one shaping your boards while he was at
and
Bing.
he's the one that
Oh,
told
okay.
Bing, "Hey, we got to get David on his own brand."
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, I was still really good friends with him, but he went south, and I stayed in Huntington.
Right. Yeah. Good. Yeah. We love you here. We love you here.
I remember the name of that restaurant, the Villa Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
That was a Villa Sweden
was a
that you
smorgasbord.
Yeah, it was a smorgasbord. It was so good, the food there.
Unreal. So, yeah. So, really, we don't have a whole lot of time, but when we think about Huntington Beach and the surfing community, what has it been like for you living in Huntington Beach?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
To me, this is like home, because when I got here, it was a small little town. We used to play football with the cops. And on my team, I had all the guys there arrested, and we beat them up, in the football field. I mean, it was
That was
cool.
when the police station used to be downtown on Main Street.
I mean, it was cool. And we knew all the locals wouldn't allow the skinheads to move into town or anything. I mean, they'd beat them up.
Yeah.
They
Well, that's
would.
good. Yeah.
That was during the 80s when all the skinheads, they'd get their butts
Oh, yeah.
beat down in the parking lots. When they tried to pull that down here, the surfers
It didn't work.
Would be all
did
over
not-
them.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
went on and on until finally they left and they never
left.
came back.
I used to pull up next to this Italian restaurant, and there'd be about 5 guys laying in the street, all bleeding.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
When I got here in '79, right out of the Army, I started surfing the north side.
Yeah.
And it took a good year, almost a year and a half before the guys out in the water were going, "Hey, you're cool. We'll leave you be." Because there was a couple times I stayed out of it, but there was a couple times I knew I was going to get my ass kicked.
You were walking unsafe.
Yeah. I was. So it took a while, but I got accepted. Yeah.
You had to be good to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's true.
there was guys like Terry Odell who had he tied this rope to one of the pilings.
Yeah.
And he literally owned that spot, and when he was out in the water, you did not, it was just sacred ground. He owned all the waves around that spot. It just was.
What do you mean he tied a rope to a buoy or something?
No. I remember that because
Oh, it was that. So that pylon, anything outside of that pylon was it? No.
Here's the deal with the rope. It was a big south swell. The current's moving 20, 25
current's always
miles
moving
an
here.
hour.
Yeah.
We'd paddle out through the pier, and if you stop on the north side, you drift down about 50 yards in a minute.
Yeah, I know. That's still how it is now.
So they used to tie a rope, and everybody would hang on to the rope so they wouldn't get out of the lineup.
Oh, unreal.
Click.
But still, if Terry Odell was out in the water, he was the one guy that kind of,
Owed it.
he
owned it.
was the man.
Yeah.
Him and John Lyman were in Pacific Vibrations. When John Severson was filming the movie, his cameraman's walking on the beach, and they run into John Lyman and Terry Odell and they interview him because they're kind of geeky looking guys. And right before that, they interview a couple really hot chicks on the beach in bikinis. And the girls are telling the Karen, "Oh, the surfers are so hot." And then the cameraman goes over to these two guys. But John Lyman's still a photographer down at the pier. He
cool.
Films just about every single day. He's got, that's how he makes his living.
Huntington was just a cool little town because you could walk up Main Street and you knew.
You knew a lot of people.
everybody.
And you also didn't like a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, you go to a bar and you see guys getting beat up in there, and all kinds of stuff. And then you walk across the street, and there'd be a group called 10 Years After playing guitar.
Golden
At the
Bear.
Golden
Yeah.
Bear.
Golden Bear.
Golden Bear.
And they'd leave the back door open so we could come in. Some of the locals could just get in there without paying,
Yeah, I got my own story about Alvin Lee and the
Yeah.
Golden Bear. I told you that story.
Yeah. Unreal stuff. Yeah, so with Huntington Beach, I mean, you're an icon here. I mean, you're involved. Let's talk a little bit about the Walk of Fame, the Hall of Fame. Don is bringing this. I mean, because you're out there on the road with the rest of them. You got your mark. So let's talk about that a little bit.
David's on the Surfing Walk of Fame, obviously.
All right.
And you actually come to the Walk of Fame when it's happening just about every year.
Yeah, you're always
hang out.
there.
Yeah.
You were there last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of counterfeiting going on with the Walk of Fame, too.
There is?
Guys that go, how did he get
Yes.
Oh,
And I'm one of the guys who said that. And I'm not going to name any names, but there's certain guys that the impact they had in surfing and our town and the whole culture is kind of blown way out of proportion.
Yeah.
And their honor roll and stuff like that. And I've, not lately, but within the last couple of years, I've voiced my opinion on these couple of people. I don't know if it's going to matter, but if you're going to be on the Surfing Walk of Fame, you really need to be the person that has earned that
right.
position.
Yeah, that
That's
right.
That's the way I've always felt.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be, because there's so many people that would be eligible, but then when you kind of refine it down, there's only certain people that actually are going to be on there because they deserve to be on there. Yeah. We're actually running out of spaces, actually.
So you got to be careful.
Yeah, we got to be careful. I got Sammy Hawk came in 2018 and hung out with me and stayed at my house and got him inducted at the Surfing Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Pye, who wanted to meet him, calls me on the phone and says, hey, can you bring Sammy Hawk over so I can meet him? So I tell Sammy, Aaron Pye wants to meet you, and I take him upstairs, and Aaron's all stoked, because he knew who he was but never really knew him. And when he finds out he's staying at my house, he calls me and bring him over.
I remember talking to PT on the last episode because there's a couple guys down in San Diego that I can't believe aren't involved on the Walk of Fame or the Hall of Fame or the Wall of Fame over in Pacific City. Yeah. Tom Eberly and Tim Bissell. Yeah. It's a mind-blowing that they aren't there. But PT said all you got to do is, what do you call it?
They have to be voted in.
Well,
Yeah,
but aren't
they have to be voted in.
Yeah, but so somebody has to, what is it called?
Well, they have to be nominated.
Yeah, and you got to nominate them.
Yeah,
so
and then
I want
we
to
start
nominate
the process of voting them in. But
right.
We have a few people right now that we're local guys that we're trying to get to be nominated to put on the ballot so that people can start the conversation about them. And the two guys that I'm talking about, I won't tell you they are. We're confident that they're going to get on that ballot so that they can PT and I forget the girl, she's over in Hawaii. What can help him start putting those names on the ballot so that legitimate people actually can be
So once they're on the ballot, is it similar to the political way of getting some? So everybody has to vote for them.
Yeah,
so you go out and rally.
We actually pick one person a year. Mike Hinson, we picked Mike Hinson last year.
It's great to see him on stage.
Yeah. I was so glad for him, man.
Yeah.
You know what I was telling you. I was going, God, we got to get Mike.
I told Karen, since he recently passed, I said, you know how fortunate we were to be down there on the beach and watch that happen, and that was his last, real claim to fame, being on that stage. You saw the smile, you saw their smile on their face. They were like in heaven sitting on the stage.
Well, him and Robert and Bruce Brown, long time ago, that movie started all that surf stuff because it was right on cue with the Beach Boys.
Yeah,
all that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you were in Five Summer Stories.
Yeah, but that came after.
I know, but I got to tell you, that was a cultural change movie.
Yeah.
It was a cultural change movie.
My opinion, best surf film ever.
It was something that really made a huge impact.
Well, when you do movies back then, like Nat and I were in that movie and some other people, you got to target your surfing like where you think it's going to be when the movie comes out. Movie comes out probably a year from now or a year and a half from now, and when it hits the screen and you got all these surfers screaming and everything in the
theater, yeah.
Because they heard
at
about
the surf
it.
theater.
We had our La Paloma surf theater. That's where we saw La Paloma.
So Dave would sit down and like I'd look at Nat, and Nat would go, "Did we hit it?" I go, "What do you mean hit it?" I was hitting it because I knew it was going to take that long before it gets to the screen.
He's talking about Nat Young.
Yeah.
Nat Young. And I go, Nat, we had to surf way beyond what we were doing at that moment shooting the movie.
Yeah.
To catch up with what's going to happen, with all the new stuff.
Well, I think the point I was trying to make as a cultural change, that movie dictated a change in the people getting involved. I think that movie had a big play because it was the like my dad. Oh, you guys are smoke dope and fuck chicks, and that's all you're gonna do surfing. Why don't you play a real sport? My dad was one of those kind of guys that looked at the surfer as low end.
Yeah.
But that movie, when it came out, it really had an impact. The way it was produced, edited, and everything put together, it really had an impact on professionals. All of a sudden, people going, man, I want to surf. Yeah. I want to surf.
Ralph
I mean,
Arnett.
the music, honk. I mean, come on. It was like, it was like it just brought you in.
No, it was more in your face.
Yeah.
That's the way we did
I
it.
went to the premiere. It was at the Santa Monica Civic for the Summer Vibrations. It's 5 Summer Stories, and I actually came home on leave. I had already served overseas and came home, and I still had a few months left. I was in Fort Huachuca with my brothers, and called me and said, hey, there's going to be a new movie coming out. We're going to go to the premiere. So I definitely came home, and we went and saw it. And McGilvery and Freeman narrated the movie live for the first one, and I was at that one.
Wow.
Were you there? Were you at the
I could have been right behind you.
For all you know.
Yeah.
We sneak in back there because, all the booze and all. We don't want to hear it. We just want to see if it all came out.
Yeah. It played at the Surf Theater a couple of times. It was actually epic and sold out every single time.
Well, it's been great. Unreal. Again, like Don says, one of the unique things is, all you guys that we've been bringing on the show, every one of you just have a little tidbit of history that you actually produced here in Huntington Beach, made happen.
Yeah.
Everybody has their little mark of what they've done. So, when it comes down to, being an HB, as a surfer, are you still surfing?
Now and then.
Yeah.
I haven't. You know why? I've got a knack, if I'm at 100% into it.
You're not paddling out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that motor that was always embedded in me. I got to be right on cue, right on target, perfect. but I'm 77 now, so I'll probably sneak out there now and then.
Or we can go sit at one of the bars on Main Street and talk about how it used to be anyway and have a couple drinks. Just kidding.
That never happened.
That makes you want to do it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Get you all excited. All right, let's go paddle out. Well, if there's one thing you had to tell everybody out there in podcast land about Huntington Beach, what would it be? Hate to put you on the spot, but just saying.
I'm glad I could expose some of the stuff I told everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was bad, but I still live in Huntington, and I love it. I've been here probably 58 years, 59, and I love the town,
And there really isn't anybody in Huntington Beach that doesn't know Mr. David Nuuhiwa. So you're always at all the events. You're always supporting everything.
Thanks.
I got a picture of you walking up the beach holding Rock and Fig in your arms.
Yeah.
And, I look at that picture all the time. And, to see how you were in your, you had a spring suit on and you had him in your arms and the look on your face was, it's a great picture. I got to get you a copy. I think you'd really enjoy it.
The night before Rick died, I was at the Orange County Fair with my son, and we were listening to this band. I don't know if it was Oingo Boingo.
Yeah, that's a band, yeah.
And a long time ago, when Chuck Denton had a shop, Chuck hired Fig, to work there.
Oh.
And I was working there with Fig. And how Rick got his name was one day Chuck and I were out. I guess we were eating breakfast, and Rick opened the shop, and loud music with Oingo Boingo going on. And here's Rick on top of the counter doing all this weird dance, Chuck and I walked in and went, "Get down, Fig! Rocket Fig!"
Yeah.
And it stuck.
Oh, wow. Unreal.
It stuck. That's how we got that name.
Yeah.
You know.
Unreal. Yeah.
Anyway.
Even for us down in San Diego, we used to listen to Fig on the radio.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Tell the Surf
Oh,
Report
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Everybody
did. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's because they wanted me to do it. I gave it to Fig.
Yeah, he got
I
asked
could-
first by K-Rock, and
Yeah.
he said
Oh.
no, and that's
I
how
said,
Figgy
I
got
can't
it.
do it because I'm on the road. You know, most of the time I'm flying somewhere, you know, like Florida or somewhere else, you know, doing something with surfing. And I told Fig, I can't do it. You can do it.
wow, I didn't know that. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you learn something new every day. See, here we go. That's what this show is all about. Well, again, thank you, Dave, very much.
Hey, thanks.
Been an honor.
Everybody. Love you
very,
guys.
very good. I'm Mel Craig.
And I'm Don Ramsey.
We'll see you out there in the water.
Woo-hoo-hoo!